That concludes the business of council with the exception of the mayor's report. This is for activities covering November 17th to November 30th. Along with council members and administration, budget meetings were held on November 17th and 28th. Again, along with council members and staff, boundary amalgamation meetings were held with Valet, the School District of Mystery Lake, Thompson Regional Airport Authority, Nishuashiak Cree Nation, as well as the airport businesses on November 19th and 20th. I attended the Salvation Army kickoff on November 20th, Salvation Army kettle kickoff on November 20th, and they still are looking for volunteers for kettle assignments in the various locations around town. Along with CAO Gary Sepatelli, had an interview with David Square from the Winnipeg Free Press on November 27th for the Town and Country edition of the Free Press. And although it's good press, it's good stories about how we're doing in Thompson and the update of where we're at. I have some frustration with some of the media in Winnipeg, in the sense that I'll give you an example of this interview that was approximately 30 minutes long. We had a good discussion in regards to what's going on in Thompson, the Valley announcement, but he finished it off with questions like, do we have an airport? Do we have a railway system? Things that are common knowledge to everyone in Manitoba. We have the second busiest airport in Manitoba. The rail line between here and Churchill, if they're not talking about polar bears, we're talking about grain and the Churchill port. And so it was really frustrating, again, to do an interview from a Southern media representative that had some good questions to begin with, but I guess their quality dropped significantly when they had absolutely no clue what Thompson was about. So some frustration in that aspect. Next, along with council colleagues and city manager Gary Sepatelli, we attended the announcement by Minister Allam on November 27th at the R.D. Parker Shop Center on regards to the Skills and Trade Center, 20,000 square foot facility valued at approximately $15 million, spaces for approximately 125 apprentices to do multiple areas of training, one being heavy duty mechanic, instrumentation, plumbing, carpentry, and a few others as well. So it provides a great transition from the existing R.D. Parker shop program into the next level, which is pre-employment training from an apprenticeship perspective, rather than having to first find a job, an employer that has an apprenticeship program, then wait for seniority to get onto that list, and then get into the program to obtain your ticket in whatever field that you've chosen. This will reverse the trend where employers will have almost, if not certified, tradespersons coming out of school with valuable experience and truly northern kids getting northern jobs, which is what the end of the end result is for the program. So good news announcement on November 27th. Also attended and brought greetings at the Tree Lighting National Child Day event on November 28th. Kudos to our staff and the volunteers that provided. The event was attended by between 400 and 500 children and parents. So great turnout, and look forward to next year's as well. And just a reminder on that, in regards to the parade, there is a tentative date for a parade for December 12th, providing we get a minimum of 10 floats registered by December 4th. And the contacts for that are Bobby Montine and Lindsay Anderson. Lindsay Anderson can be contacted at Public Works. So we need 10 floats by December 4th in order to have the parade on December 12th. Next, the various committee meetings that were held over the time frame: Recreation and Community Services, Communications, Development Review, Finance and Administration, Legislation and Intergovernmental Affairs. And just before I go to proclamations, just a reminder, safety aspect, again, in regards to ice. Both the rivers and lakes are very thin, if at all, in regards to ice. We had an incident on the weekend on the Burntwood River, and kudos to our staff and the children that were around that were available to respond. We had an adult go through the ice, and the children aided her rescue by providing her with a tree branch to hang on to while our forces responded and were able to get her out of the water. Unfortunately, the dog that she went after to save wasn't able to be saved. But just a reminder that river, especially at this time of year, is very unforgiving, and as well as the surrounding lakes. We had an ATV go through at the causeway. We've had people in and around the lakes, and again, this has been in a very abnormal fall and winter. The ice is very thin, if existent at all, so be very, very cautious. The best advice is stay off the lakes and rivers until it's thick enough to do so. So just a reminder on that, from that safety aspect. In regards to proclamations, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the Mayor of Thompson, I hereby proclaim November 30th to December 5th, 2015 as Aboriginal AIDS Awareness Week in the City of Thompson. Secondly, by virtue of authority vested in me as the Mayor of Thompson, I hereby proclaim November 30th to December 4th, 2015 as Aboriginal Health and Safety Week in the City of Thompson. And thirdly, by virtue of authority vested in me as the Mayor of Thompson, I hereby proclaim December 1st, 2015 as World AIDS Day in the City of Thompson. And at this time, I would look to other councillors to report on their activities over that time frame. Councillor Byer.
Well, myself and Councillor Smook, Councillor Wong, and Councillor Foley, and I'm sure they'll speak on their own, attended the Association of Manitoba Municipalities conference in Brandon, and the theme of it was creating legendary leadership, and they had some very interesting keynote speakers that were speaking of some very proactive and progressive topics, which I found extremely interesting. But of more importance to us is we had an opportunity to speak with 3 of our provincial ministers while we were down there. One of them, Justice Minister McIntosh, speaking to the restorative justice. We made it a point of asking him that Thompson be one of those 5 hubs that they're going to be setting up in the province. He made note of it, so that's positive. We spoke with Conservation and Water Stewardship, Navakshanoff, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, yeah. And we spoke to him about 2 things. One was extending the campground season, and he seemed favorable to making that a more permanent initiative. And the other one was increased number of cottage lots. And of course, as you mentioned, we've been speaking to Minister Caldwell repeatedly about the land transfer tax and provincial sales tax regarding the water treatment plant. Can't say we made any headway on that one, but certainly we brought it to their attention. Also, just want to mention that there was a panel discussion of all 3 party leaders for the provincial election. It was interesting and lively. Nothing specific to the north that I wrote down in my notes anyways, but it certainly showed where each party is lining up in terms of what their vision is for the province. 2 smaller things. One is attended Rex's X's Saturday night, and I'd like to just congratulate our local drama group for consistently putting entertainment out there for the public. And the other thing is I want to recognize our own people from Recreation for making the front of City Hall look so nice for this season.
Thank you. Council, any other? Councillor Wong.
Yeah, I got, last week I went down to AMM as a Northern Director. So we managed to, well, there was a 46 resolution to be passed. We managed to get 39 resolution through, 1 withdraw, 5 defeated, and 2 amended. And then I also got assigned to host the VP of UMA, AUMA, Barry Morishita, and also got introduced to FCM President Raymond Lewis. And I attend the breakout section at the council decision making, and the rest pretty much Councillor Bayo already mentioned.
Councillor Smook and then Councillor Foley.
Yes, I was also at AMM. It was very, I don't know, it was inspiring in some ways, listening to some of those speakers. I did have a chance to talk to Minister Ashton after the gala was over concerning our chemo unit, and he is to be getting back to us very shortly in regards to it. And Minister Blady was at the table that night, and he asked her to join the conversation, and she didn't want to. She was busy at the time, but I really think we have to push for that chemo unit because it's really going to the back burner, is what I've been told. I really encourage everybody on December the 2nd to get out to TRCC for the budget process, because I'll be the first one to say, you didn't show up, don't complain to me after the fact. So see you all December 2nd at the TRCC. And tomorrow, World AIDS Day, they're 11:30 at TRCC. There's going to be a walk, there's going to be lunch, there's cupcakes, soup. Get out and show your support. Thank you.
Just that with the other members of council going to AMM and Brandon, great leadership forums and speakers. It was very, as far as quality of life in Thompson, speaking with the Minister of Conservation and Water Stewardship, he was very receptive to the idea of extending the camping season, which was kind of nice. And then just mirroring the previous comments with the Minister of Justice in regards to the restorative justice facility and the Mr. Drew Caldwell pushing for the waiving of the PSD. All in all, it was a great experience. I felt that missing last year's, I was a bit at a disadvantage, but I know they tried a lot of new things this year with the breakout session, so it came back energized and ready to keep going.
Deputy Mayor Valentino?
Well, I didn't attend
Didn't go anywhere.
but I did attend two things on behalf of the city. They were on the same day, and please note it was -30 that day, the only day. I did attend the Northern Crime Prevention Conference, and Director of Fire and Public Safety, John Masgreen, was there also, and I apologize, there was another employee there was there also with you, and it was put on by the province, the Children and Youth Opportunities Crime Prevention Branch, and it was a bit about people who work or in the field of at-risk youth and obstacles and barriers with a 2-day conference and workshop. I did welcome them to come back next year again, because I think it was a bit of a big deal that it was finally this conference held here in the city of Thompson. Later in the day, it was still -30, and I spoke at the Employment First North Project luncheon at Mamaweetalk. This was a partnership between Valet and Mamaweetalk to get urban Aboriginal people the skills and needs they need to be hired by Valet. It's been so far a success, and it's a spin-off from the Tedwig process. I think it was a clear project or program that shows that industry and communities can create partnerships, and industry and communities can have successful partnerships. So their goal is to increase our workforce in Thompson, and they want other business owners to jump on board, and they should, if they're interested, contact them when we talk, because it's a project that's going well.
Thank you. Council, any other? Councilor Clotta.
I attended the Manitoba Mining Convention on behalf of the city. As you know, at the welcome reception, all the mining communities are asked to speak. We also had Paul Desjardins, our TU manager, at that conference. So during my remarks, I introduced him from the floor. He identified himself, and as a result of that, he had a number of contacts. I had asked that since we didn't have a booth, everyone was welcome to either contact Paul or myself if they had questions regarding services in our city here, and that was successful. We did have a number of people who did speak to us. After the speeches, Minister Chomiak came and spoke to Mayor Kim Stevenson from Snow Lake. They had a booth. They had 3 of their elected officials and their economic development officer there, and they were the only mining community that had a booth this year. Attendance was down. But as I say, Mr. Chomiak came and spoke to us, thanked us for our participation. I attended a number of sessions, one particularly inspiring talk was from Chief Michael Constant of the PAW, and he spoke about working together, the Aboriginal community and the mining community, to develop the mines. All in all, it was very interesting. It was a bit discouraging that the number of booths and the number of attendants were down, but considering some of the metals prices, that was expected and understood. And all in all, it was a very interesting conference, and thanks to council for sending me.
Thank you. Council, any other questions or comments? One other announcement in regards to the Manitoba Aboriginal Health and Safety Initiative. This will be held on Wednesday, December 2nd, 10 o'clock to 11 at the Northern Manitoba Sector Council, Thompson Office, 30279 Selkirk Avenue. Program is from 10 to 10:30. Demonstration of the MAHSI Online Learning Center. Industry keynote speaker will be Dana Waring from Valet Thompson. Refreshments from 10:30 to 11. And you can RSVP to Liz Sousa at 204-778-5876 in regards to if you're attending that announcement on Wednesday, December 2nd. With that, that concludes the business of council. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.